like being cheated. I swear to God, this show has made me believe. I think women like to be cheated on.
My biggest turn-off is just a man who wants to split bills of any nature. My just gets really, like, it's so dry that I develop thrush. Like, I feel itchy. And I just want to put a rake inside myself and just get all the flakes of itchiness out, because how could you?
Stop pocket watching me. How about that?
Don't pocket watch a woman.
Don't pocket watch a woman.
I was nasty watching.
Right before I just went like this.
Nasty watching.
Bro, you so corny.
Still equal in that sense.
Men and women are not equal at all. At all. That's another fallacy that we have in modern day dating culture, which leads so many women astray. We're not the same.
Okay, so today's episode is going to be a controversial one. Very controversial one indeed.
Using my old opening because I still don't have a new one.
The world and the crazy world, the kind of wild, wild west of relationship advice. You could end up sounding like a pick-me, you can end up sounding like a fool, depending on who you are. You could say the same thing and sound like a genius to someone else. Or even the same person sounding like a genius and a pick-me, just depending on the mood they're in.
I'm removing myself from rhetoric that ends up being nothing.
So how do I evade this trap? How do I discuss this without sounding like the biggest fool on the planet or the biggest pick-me? Apparently to some people already am. Or a genius, apparently to myself and my grandma have been one from birth. So how do I talk about it? Well, I'm gonna start with the most taboo aspect of that.
But if I couple up with a man, like if I make a choice to be with a man, it's because he provides times 2 times 10 of what I can do for myself. If he could only do half or 50-50, or he's only bringing, I could do that by myself.
I feel like that's more into like I would always bounce back with you, like kind of looking at him in a trick sense.
However, before we get into that, do me one quick favor. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe in order for this channel to grow. I'm going to need your assistance, I'm going to need your support, I'm going to need your subscriptions. In order for it to grow, it needs you to be subscribed. I don't even care if you're watching this with your eyes closed, as long as you give the view and the subscription, I'm happy. Without further ado though, let's get into the episode.
You're on 28k, you understand, we live together, we share stuff together, so I know where all your money's going, and I know you got another £400 to spare. And I say, yeah, bust it to me, innit? Allowance thing. How am I gonna look after myself? How am I gonna look this good for you if you ain't giving me money?
Aspects of money, or the aspects of finances. Now I know some people may disagree and think it's been covered. However, it's been covered in one particular major way. And that's that typical red pill discussion. It goes viral the most, it's the most covered. And how many times are we gonna talk about who should pay on the first date?
Do men still have to pay on the first date?
Oh shit. Not necessarily, no. I don't think so. It just depends how the first date was initiated. Like, if the girl asked him, like, you trying to take me out? Or like, if he asked her. I think if he initiated it, he should be paying for it. But if he didn't initiate it, I don't think he necessarily has to pay.
If you want my opinion, I rarely do this. I'm gonna break the fourth wall for you guys. It is the man. Unless he's genuinely broke and can't afford it. But let's just put it out there. Just because the man pays for the first date does not mean he has money. It doesn't mean anything. It is just what we do. Let's get over it.
Riley, all women are not hoes. We're talking 25% tops. Okay, but if they not all hoes, then why I got to pay to take them out to eat then? I mean, I'm paying. That's payment. I don't know, because that's just what you do. You meet a girl, you take her out to dinner, but you're not paying the girl, you're paying the restaurant. But I'm paying, which makes her a hoe. Why don't I just give her the money I was gonna spend on dinner, and that hoe can go grocery shopping?
However, the narrative and the fact that that's such a hot button issue, the fact that that always trends, the fact that that is a conversation, is that we have the same red pill discussions about money. A discussion point, a topic point that's very much birthed from the 1950s.
And I was reading something recently, and it was saying like in the 50s, they said that that was the like golden time of happiness. But the truth is, everybody almost had the same standard of living. Everybody's house looked identical. Everybody was pushing the same car. So nobody looked across your street and saw your neighbor with a shiny new thing. So
1950s America, the average family consisted of a father, mother, and several children. The average age for marriage amongst men was approximately 23, while the average age for women was about 20. Married couples usually stayed together, with only about 20 to 25% of marriages ending in divorce. The husband of the family typically went to work each day, while the wife of the family stayed at home. The family unit was important to Americans. They ate meals together, went on outings together, and did other things together as a family.
Like Reese Mubarak said, it seems to be the golden age of happiness, the golden age of male patriarchy, without people realizing the true context of what happened at the time, the mundanity of the time, the sameness of the time. Although in some ways that helped, and in other ways it led to extreme inequality, racism, sexism, pay inequality. We do gloss over and sort of romanticize the past. You see this with fashion, with the new Y2K fashion trend that's been sweeping the nation since the pandemic, and you know, I remember the time when that was being mocked. So
your trousers are funny, fam. Levi jeans. Levi jeans. Karate trousers.
Without digressing too much, essentially we homogenize and nostalgize the past, and you can see that with the rhetoric with Red Pill and how they cover dating, how they discuss male patriarchy and being the provider.
In that sense,
men and women are not equal at all. At all. That's another fallacy that we have in modern day dating culture, which leads so many women astray. We're not the same. There's certain things that men can do that women can't do, and vice versa. And we're different, and we're designed to complement each other. And I don't believe in partnerships. I think men come in and lead, women follow. And I find it funny because women typically want a man. And here's the thing: what you just described is what every girl wants. But they think that they're gonna go into a relationship with a guy that's better than them in every single metric, and it's gonna be an equal partnership or 50-50. It doesn't work that way. There's always a leader, there's always a decider, and for it to work, the man's gotta be in a leadership role, never the woman. Women can't lead anything.
yeah, we can.
This is often exacerbated, not just by social media, but you see this in media, in TV programs, in reality TV shows.
I didn't really think there was much more to it, but yeah, basically she's told the guys that are like sucked her tits or whatever.
Wait.
Oh, I'm gonna have such a headache.
Wait.
My earring's gone.
Are you
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. My diamond earring. What's wrong with you guys? My diamond earring came off in the ocean and it's gone. And there's people that are dying.
You know what? Let me tell you
scary,
something. Don't you
vicious
ever
human being.
don't touch
Just
my
saying.
husband ever.
Just saying.
Don't ever.
You don't want out for everybody to know. You better watch what you talk about me, or everybody will know.
Never.
Everybody
go
will
near
know.
my husband.
Everybody will know.
You understand that?
Everybody will know after my.
Yo, Sin, with me. With me, Sin. Yo, you put your hands on me, E. Now I'm done with you. You're buried. I'm done. She really touched my face, dog. She really touched my face. Yo, she really touched my face. Give me my...
Reality TV has a way of covering aspects of relationships, the most salacious parts of relationships, sometimes fetishizing it, sometimes making it look bad, sometimes making it look overly good than what it really is. And the reality is it doesn't cover the realities, the mundanities, the most difficult aspects of relationships. And when it comes to money, it doesn't really cover sometimes what happens when someone's slightly earning more. What about the pressures on them, the pressures on the person who's earning less? Do they feel guilty? These aspects of relationships, moving in together, discussing finances, the awkwardness of that, it's not covered in reality TV. Why?
Okay. On one person, it has vavavoom. Look, I don't make the rules. Vavavoom is cool. Oh, yes. But cool is not always vavavoom.
Because it's not that sexy. It's not that fun to cover. And it kind of does a glossing over the fact of the realities of finances in relationships. They are far more deep than the guy has got to provide for everything, which in one case of the sense, if you can, which is rare in this economy, would leave you under excruciating pressures, excruciating problems. And other issues for someone who can afford to look after two people like that. Lack of time, and that's not covered. It's not covered when it's the woman who's the provider. Not enough anyway.
Early 2000s, pretty shortly before the 2008 crash, they've traced a very unique timeline in American history. We've gone from the false illusions of wealth, supported by things like shoddy mortgages and easy credit cards, which provided the underpinnings of TV sensations like Laguna Beach, or the earliest reality dating and makeover shows. Since then, though, most Americans have been greatly disillusioned about what it actually means to look that wealthy. And as these shows have only upped the stakes in the glamour, the wealth, and the beauty displayed, everyday people, including the people on these shows themselves, have become less and less able to keep up appearances. For me, reality TV is kind of the ultimate black mirror of the culture we live in. And watching these people attain these glamorous lives and build these massive social media followings, only to then be undertaken in scandal and bankruptcy and failure, almost provides a kind of cosmic sense of justice. I mean,
essentially what I'm saying is a very poor discussion about how finances are covered in society. The fact that we view only high-value men by their net worth is a very poor reflection of society.
So what is your definition of high value? Because to me it just sounds like high value to you is like superficial stuff.
High value just means that it's pretty much like you're making a lot of money. You have a lot of tangible things. You're high value.
Your value is high.
Your value is high, and your monetary value, your value is high. Meaning, you got a man who's making $100 million, then he's high valued, and women who are superficial, but I'm not knocking y'all, sis, okay? Are very attracted to that. But again, are they choosing the man or are they choosing the value?
The value.
But some people are so poor, all they got is money.
And it does lead to one of my overall themes of this channel, that capitalism and corporatist capitalism does so much a disservice to human beings and their humanity, leaving them to just pawns of a overall structure that benefits literally corporations and just the few. It's a very great shame. And just on the topic of reality TV, have you noticed that from when we were probably first watching reality TV, when it really boomed the early 2000s, or their first season sometimes, and how they look now, have you noticed the change? How they appear, how they look has dramatically gone up. Plastic surgery's gone up, Botox, filler, breast augmentation.
Almost unquestionable that the prevalence of these shows at the time, and there were very interesting academic studies all the way back in the early 2000s about their popularity, were a huge factor in the normalization of some of these incredibly invasive and expensive procedures in our culture. And that phenomenon continues today. Quote, a recent study found that 4 out of 5 people seeking plastic surgery said they'd been directly influenced by shows including Extreme Makeover, E's Dr. 90210, MTV's I Want a Famous Face, and Bravo's Miami Slice. The academic journal Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery reported the first known data on how reality television affects plastic surgery patients. More than half of the patients said they watched at least one such program regularly, and most admitted that the shows had played a significant role in their decision to get treatment. While this kind of programming may not be increasing the number of cosmetic surgeries overall, it does seem to be a factor amongst those who are opting for body contouring procedures like liposuction, breast enhancement procedures like breast augmentation, and facial surgery such as rhinoplasty, which are among the most popular surgeries.
You name it, it has been done. And what does that do? Well, it sells the image, not only through social media, not only through media, that beauty can be bought. Couple that with the financial aspect of how men are viewed as pawns to just provide, as just cogs in a system that is to funnel in finances for the wealthy elite, just cogs. It tells you that women can buy beauty and acceptance through their beauty, and men's value is through mainly just their production of labor and how much that labor costs. What does that do for human beings who have deep, complex feelings, sometimes interwoven feelings? It leaves you feeling worthless when you don't meet those beauty standards, which inevitably will we all fail and fall short by, and especially those financial standards as well. It leads to broke shaming, it leads to, you know, lack of self-worth.
The natural look is cool, but you need a couple enhancements though, baby. And I tell you that because I fuck with you. I ain't even telling you that like to try to cap on you, nothing.
You know, lack of confidence, it can be tremendously problematic when done to younger audience or more vulnerable audiences. And I think there needs to be far more discernment in not just the medium, but the social media things that you like, the posts that you like, the stories that I like, the people that you follow. Reese Wara put this quote on Twitter, and I found it very true. Everything you consume is, especially when you enter the realm of overconsumption, which is easy with social media, is very critical to your mind frame and your mindset, and it says a lot about you.
It's a very unpopular opinion, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think if you're in a serious relationship with a girl, she should not have an Instagram. That's cheating.
If I ever get pregnant with a son, I'm returning it to the sender because I don't want to raise one. I keep going.
You can't divorce. I mean, that's not a real thing. That should be outlawed. You legally actually should not be able to.
If I have to pick between being alone in the woods with a man or with a bear, I'm picking the bear every time.
This lends itself to the greater point and the more enlarged point of the gender wars that happens online. And I've got to say this. A lot can be said about the gender wars. Sometimes I think it's a little overstated because for the large part it is just for content.
Fucking bitch sucking my dick again. Sucking my dick again,
Damn,
like I said.
Hold on, I don't sit with people that try to sit there and try to act like they, hold on, you a man?
Yeah, when obviously you treating me like one. You treating me like one, so I must have a dick that you like to suck.
Now you got a dick.
You called me a woman cannot be a
now you got a dick.
So I must be one of you.
I'll tell you this, right?
Yeah.
You got a problem with me? Like, is it an anger issue? Because I have a bitch pull up right now. She'll get out in my face.
I mean, if that's what the fuck you want to do, we could. If you want to do that,
don't touch with me.
Listen,
I'm saying you got anger though, right? You still got a problem, right?
We could do that. But we could do that. Word to my life, God, right now. God, right now. Let's see. And
she say she knows she got so much animosity.
What?
But if you got so much animosity,
you're a faggot, my nigga. You're a faggot. What you mad about? A conversation?
Pick some money up off the floor.
Yeah.
Pick some money up off the floor.
I never pick it up, but
pick
you
some
gonna
money
pick it
up
up.
off the
Pick it
floor.
up.
No, don't pick none of that shit up.
However, it can lead to tremendously problematic views if you constantly are taking in this negative conversation. A lot of what happens with the girls versus boys, men versus women is quite negative. There is positives. It can leave you in this self-perpetuating cycle of validating your most negative thoughts. And that's the problem with social media, even media to a certain degree. Problem is that you can end up just getting funneled in information that validates your most negative thoughts, and if you constantly feed into it, you can end up believing, yes, all men cheat, yes, all women are hoes, slags, and whatnot. You can go as far down that rabbit hole as you would want to go, and you do have to be quite selective with what you choose to watch, how many times you watch trash reality TV. You watch trash reality TV for too long, I believe you turn into trash. Same with the red pill content. Eventually you just view yourself as a cog in a wheel who's just there to, you know, anything without a lack of a better word. And I don't want to be too judgmental to people who are exploring what kind of women they like or what kind of people they like. I am someone who's explored.
Stop. Take lives. What do you mean by that?
But too much of that can be very destructive. And you see this with the growing culture of clout chasing culture.
I went viral for letting 23 guys run a train on me with my friend Bonnie. Now, that video is actually out now, so if you want to check that out, you know where to go. But if you want to be a part of the next one, I'm actually doing 100 guys in one day.
Through OnlyFans models or these red pillars who are selling you courses and telling you have to bang at least X amount of girls before you've entered masculinity.
And it's kind of like going to a car dealership. You walk in there, if you want reliability, you can get a Nissan. But if you want to get a Ferrari, it comes with headaches. It's going to come with problems. So when girls say to me, oh, you know what, Andrew, you know, you should be loyal to that. Men like me don't have to be. And you know that. So why the fuck are you here trying to tell me what to do? Because you know I don't have to be loyal, and all the girls I'm fucking don't have to be loyal. So why are you sitting there pretending you expected me to be loyal when everyone knew from ground up day one it was never going to ever fucking happen? And you're still here.
Plays into two particular subsets of societies that is very harmful. The constant womanizers and promiscuity, which can lead to potential diseases, which can lead to those men having deep holes that never get filled.
Why? But
and also incels, men who are finding it almost impossible to attract women who get very angry at society, and a society with very angry men is a very harmful, dangerous society to be in. But you also have that with OnlyFans culture. Now, I'm not gonna knock anyone that believes that this is their ticket out and wants to try it and sees it as a form of liberation. I'm not gonna knock sex work at all, but how it's sold.
Within the first couple months, like right when I made it, I was making 10 bands a month. Like I was making such easy, quick money, and I honestly started off by just basically posting the same things I was posting on Instagram, and this is why it is a scam. After a couple of months, you're going to lose subscribers because they're like only signing up because of the hype. OnlyFans has a reputation. That's the thing. When you hear of an OnlyFans, you're automatically, or even a private Snapchat, you're automatically thinking like there's porn, there's nudes, there's sex tapes all on this thing. They're really subscribing just to see the hype, right? They're trying to see if they can see your nudes, they're trying to see if they can see your sex tapes, all of that. But then when they see what you're actually posting on there, and if it doesn't reach like what they imagined and then what they want to see you doing, then they're gonna unsubscribe. Unless you are okay with being that girl and doing those things and making that a full-time job where you're basically going to be transitioning into a porn star. Number 2, people are going to steal your photos. Whoever subscribes to your account can take your pictures and screenshot and screen record whatever you do. It's not secured, it's not private, like anybody can take your stuff. Really hard thing to accept for me is that like anything I had posted on there is all over the internet. Like you can type in my name and there's like the Reddit account that pops up, and it doesn't have everything, but it has a lot of stuff that I had posted on there, and it sucks because if I go and message them and say, can you take this all down out of the kindness of your heart because I've transitioned and I'm giving my life over to God and I don't want the stuff on the internet, I bet they don't give a crap about how I feel. So your stuff is on the internet for life, and you have to be okay with that. If you have a little girl one day and you want your little girl never to do stuff like that, but they type in mommy's name and all that stuff pops up, what are you gonna do?
It's a complete mischaracterization of what the reality is. It is very hard to make money online. It takes work, it takes time. Some people who have these tremendous stories that you hear about already built platforms. And yes, it can be a way of decentralizing the big porn industries. However, the harms that it can cause, the exposure, the anxiety, the depression that is growing in society. We are living in a mental health pandemic, and you can see that through statistics post-pandemic, like you can see here. But without discussing the potential risk factors, I think it's false information to sell that this is some golden ticket to making money and liberating yourself. It can often be a cycle of shame for women, it can be disturbing for women, and you can see some of the women that are promoting themselves are deeply damaged.
Sex workers have a real history of childhood abuse, and what happens is when you've been abused or molested as a child, the control has been taken out of your hands. Somebody's accessed your body and violated it without your permission. So to re-establish control, the person who's been a victim starts to then sell their body and say, you can only access me on my terms now. And it's a form of regaining control. But until you undo the trauma, it's going to happen again and again.
Again, not knocking anyone who's done sex work or wants to do sex work, but at least know what you're getting into. And I think far too often it's like those crypto scams. People sell you the get rich quick scheme, but don't tell you the potential risks that come with it. It's a complete, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but a complete mischaracterization of what's going on. And I think perhaps my biggest issue with this, and it leads to the overall capitalistic point that I was making, is that there's always an app behind this. In the case of OnlyFans, it's the OnlyFans app, or these other selling feet, pretty little feet kind of apps that are out there. I believe it's actually a website. Don't ask why I know that, I just know a lot of things.
I'm worried about you seeing that.
Next question.
And also dating apps, hookup culture, promoting men to sleep with as many women as they can or they should in order to enter masculinity, to me only ever actually feeds the apps, which brings me to my earlier point that sadly this is feeding corporations, the 1%, in society. And I find that often when we talk about relationships, when we talk about the dynamics within relationships, soon after a while I realize that we're just actually feeding into these corporatist capitalist machines.
But if you know the little small things and you say, babe, here's $500, go and get yourself some more panties. How you know I need some? Oh, I checked your drawer.
That's what I be doing.
You know, just the little details. If I'm in the supermarket and I'm talking to you, or you text me, hey, what are you doing? I'm in the supermarket, and you send me like $500, that's like, whoa. You're thinking, it's just little stuff like that.
It's little shit, yeah. People say, oh, we need to go on dates X amount of time. Who should be the breadwinner? And I'm like, we are in a recession. Why isn't that an aspect of, if you know me, you know the show's coming to an end. But why aren't we talking about that? How are we not talking about the pressures of jobs, the pressures of finances in relationships? That's not to say it doesn't happen, but far too often what dominates the conversation are these viral clips here.
When it comes to the nigga that provides for me, I'm a very feminine
But what you
woman.
gonna provide for him? We live in 2023, almost 2024, sweetie.
You have to speak to the men that like those type of women as what those women provide for them. I just come to the table being me, you know?
And it does disturb me that there's not enough conversation about the mental health pandemic that we are living in today. And not enough conversation about the aspect of trauma and how we pick partners that re-traumatize us because it's a form of comfort.
How do you deal with that?
The thing is, when you've been traumatized in your childhood, you can't help but look for trauma in adulthood. So you'll look for somebody who will reincarnate that trauma. Somebody, say for example, parent is abusive, you look for an abusive partner. Parent is absent, you look for an absent partner. You owe yourself the right to feel loved in the correct way. So select wisely. Selection is everything. Try not to, because what happens is when you've been traumatized, somebody who feels familiar, even though it's chaotic and horrible, you'll be drawn to them because it feels familiar. And you label that as chemistry. And somebody who's nice, consistent, and caring, you see as boring, and you're like, oh, I don't want that.
There's a lot of conversation about going to therapy, doing therapy. I find it ironic, and you're probably going to see this here. I might get into some trouble, but whatever, I don't care. That BetterHelp is promoting therapy, but they're charging you an arm and a leg when we live in a recession. I think that's a joke. I think that's a real big joke. I don't respect it. YouTube might have a problem with that, but I don't respect it. And I think alongside my lack of respect for that particular company, I also have to say this too, that how therapy needs to be done. And the most important aspect of therapy is self-honesty, being honest with yourself. Your therapist cannot drag things out of you that you don't want to bring out of yourself. They will realize you're defensive about it. They'll realize it makes you uncomfortable. But if you don't want to talk about it, it won't get done. I think there's a lack of conversation about that. And really, the whole point of this episode today is the nuances about relationships, the nuances about connections and loving people often get missed out in these content, in this relationship content. And I get that's an aspect of virality. Virality does that. That's the aspect of TikTok, clip culture. It does that. But when you deep dive into it, there's not enough about that. Or it's too often missed out from the overall conversation, which is sadly a shame about the realities of. Okay, yeah, I know it's a little bit mad, but this is a post-edit clip that I wanted to put in because I finished editing and I had one big glaring hole. Why for that? In the episodes, in the clips, in the content that I've been watching, the things I've been reading, and it's love. We're talking about relationships and I haven't mentioned love once. And I think it's because so much of the discussion about relationships, about partnerships, lacks the conversation about love, the beauty of love, like I've said throughout the video, the difficulties. We've got so far removed from the conversation about love and what it is and why it's so important to stay together when you have children and the example of love that is for them. And I've read a few things that said, it's apparently easier for younger couples to stay together, and there's no statistical, true empirical research that fully backs that up. But one reason I think it's such an interesting hypothesis is because love and many things in life, when they require so much hope, require an element of delusion and seeing things through a child's eyes. Sadly, as adults, we have the experience and the wisdom to predict things better than children, but not the naive love and hope that children have. And in order to love, you kind of need to see things through a child's eyes. You need that little bit of delusion, that little bit of it's not really real until you have it, in order for it to work. And so many things come in the way, whether it be trauma, whether it be providing, whether it be, and there's nothing wrong with providing. I got to put it out there. There's nothing wrong with spoiling someone. That's a form of a love language. But I think far too often the conversation about relationships, whether it's red pill, whether it's certain women going viral. Bernice, I believe it was, from the Joe Budden podcast. I hope I'm able to keep that in. Doesn't have that real aspect of the importance of love and what love is and how it feels. It doesn't go viral enough. And if you talk about it a little bit too much, you get called a pygmy. It's such a shame. It's such a shame. I just thought it's so important to put that the center of this is two people coming together, trying to fulfill each other's needs and build a union and a family that trickles down and spreads the power of love throughout others. Wow, that sounded really corny. There was no way to say that and not sound corny, but you know, I hope you get what I'm saying. With increased depression, anxiety on the rise, I just wish and I pray and I hope that people who listen to this, however many, take in that there's a lot more nuances to conversations. Often, in order for things to change, in order for things to grow, you have to, in order for people to grow, to elevate your mindset, take in information that you normally wouldn't, have some discernment with the kind of relationships, advice that you're receiving. Me, myself, there was a time where I received a lot of relationship advice that was telling me and encouraging me to cheat. Now, depending on who's watching this, I've never cheated.
That's cap! That's cap! That's cap!
The reality is, it took me a while to realize that I'm creating this self-perpetuating cycle for myself that encouraging me to do a behavior that I myself know is problematic, but I use this as a way to validate myself. I used it as a way to just sometimes, you know, I'm not gonna lie, like thirst trapping pictures. And I thought to myself, you know what, I'm just liking it. Isn't a problem, but it became a problem. Why am I telling you that? You have to be consciously aware of what you're liking, what you're engaging with. In order for content not to consume you, be very aware and deliberate with what you like, what you watch with your feeds. Be deliberate with what you watch on TV. Trash TV is great. I engage in trash TV sometimes. There are some great reality TV shows. Even this one called I Want to Marry Harry, which was about marrying a fake.
These 12 women have come to London, England, looking for true love. When they meet a real Prince Charming.
Our boyfriend's someone big. That's Prince Harry. No way. It can't be.
He's Prince Harry, and I know it.
This could be a true Cinderella story.
Babe! Prince Harry is my ideal guy. He's charming. He's my dream guy.
Only in this fairy tale, it's the prince who's hiding a secret.
So where's all your family at Buckingham Palace?
You see, underneath all the trappings, he's not a prince at all. Just an ordinary boy who looks a lot like Prince Harry.
Prince Harry. It was wild. But there's nothing wrong with that. But too much of that may augment and disturb your view of relationships and love and make you either think it's the most accessible thing in the world, or everyone's fake, everyone's a lie, or you may need to look a certain way because of the image that reality TV promotes online, not just for women but for men too, and the level of and the aspect of providing as well that is put in through social media and reality TV. Be aware of what you consume. Have some discernment. Trust that the realities of situations aren't what is depicted online. Watch this episode again and again and again if you can. And if you don't like it, put into the comments why. If you do like it, put into the comments why. I can't wait to hear from you next week. Peace.
I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to hang out this weekend.
Hey, you were busy.
So, you wanted to tell me something? Is the seat taken?
Hi.
Hi, by yourself.
The time is right, and I don't wanna let you go.
Sorry, it is